All right, today we're doing a long-term review of my laptop. You guys have seen it before. Let's talk about it, shall we? All right, everybody, welcome back to Gadget Conquest, and today we're going over a long-term review of what it's like to use this laptop. This is the HP Omen 15. It is the redesigned Omen with the Ryzen 4800H chip and the 1660 Ti. Now, this is a long-term review, so I'm actually just going to be focusing on what it's like to use the laptop and some of the things that I love about it and some things that I hate about it. I'm not going to go super into specs and performance and all of that nonsense. That's not what this video is about. If you want to see something like that, then please feel free to look up Omen 15 review on YouTube, and you'll find plenty of videos that came out when this laptop came out. That's it. That's all I have to say about that. Anyway, let's go over the good, right? So, the good, the performance. I'm not going to get into specifics, but the performance is phenomenal. I am a software engineer by trade, and I use this at work. This is my work laptop. I use it, 8 hours a day, Monday through Friday. For the past 6 or 7 months, I've been using this laptop, and it has really stood the test of time much better than my previous laptop did. My previous laptop was the MacBook 15, the MacBook Pro 15-inch, like the very last 15-inch before they came out with the 16-inch. That one did not stand the test of time like this one has so far, at least. This one has really held up. The performance has been phenomenal, especially on the processor side. I don't personally use the graphics card much at all. Maybe the graphics card gets used a little bit when I'm working in Illustrator, but that's pretty rare. It's mostly the processor, and when it comes to compiling, when it comes to starting up my IDE and it decides to index my entire project for some freaking reason, situations like those that really rely on having a fast processor that is both capable of having high single-core performance and having high multi-core performance, this thing has really done great. The Ryzen 7 4800H in it has been a blessing to me in my work. Honestly, it has made me more efficient at my job, if anything. 16 gigs of RAM has also helped quite a bit. I mean, that's pretty standard, 16. And the 1 terabyte of storage that this thing came with, as compared to the 256 gigabyte storage that my MacBook had, and even the 512 that comes standard on the base model MacBooks now, is awesome. Having 1 terabyte of storage, knowing that I can sort of just do things that are going to take up storage space and not have to worry about it, having to worry about, taking up that space is really, really cool. I've also been able to run dual boots and even triple boots, just multi-boot environments, and be perfectly happy with just giving away storage space to different environments just because I can. And that's actually been pretty cool. And having 8 cores and 16 threads to work with meant running virtual machines or Docker containers, which I normally do, and giving them resources has been really, really easy because I have plenty of resources to spare. So performance on this thing has been really, really good, and I can't wait to see these Ryzen processors in more like work-oriented designs, like perhaps like a Dell Latitude or something like that. Those workbooks, those laptops that are made more for being used at work rather than at home. I can't wait to see those processors sort of trickle their way down into there, because this thing has been really, really cool to work with. Another plus side that this thing has had for me is the battery life. I've gotten about 4.5 hours of battery life out of the thing, which doesn't sound like a lot, but you have to remember that this is 4.5 hours of continuous use workload. It's not like it's just been, sitting around doing nothing for 4.5 hours or running some kind of fake test. This is, real work, and mostly compiling programs and writing code, and it just kind of gets everything done. And this mostly happens just because of the fact that I leave my charger at home sometimes and forget to bring it to work. And you know, I gotta wait until lunch before I can go get it. So 4.5 hours is pretty freaking good for what you would be doing, you know? So if it was basic web browsing, you'd probably actually get quite a bit more time. I would very easily expect you to get something like 6 hours out of it if you're just doing something like web browsing, or maybe working on like a Word document or something like that. I would definitely expect you to get better than that. What else has been pretty great about this thing? The keyboard, the typing experience has been sort of, if I go just on the keyboard, just on the keys themselves, the feel of the keys, and the backlighting, it's awesome. The backlighting works really, really well, and the keys themselves have a good amount of travel while also being requiring a decent amount of force. I don't like it when keys are really soft and really easy to press, and these are not, and they travel pretty well. So when you press a key, you don't feel like you might have accidentally pressed it. You know that you pressed it, or maybe you feel like you maybe didn't press it. That's not the case here. In this case, you do actually know that you're pressing the keys. The other thing that I like about this keyboard is the layout. It is here, let me open this up. It is a mostly standard, let's see if you can see that there. It is a mostly standard 10 keyless layout. It is a, what is that, a 104 key? Is that what it is? 104 key is 10 keyless? Or is it 86 key is 10 keyless? I can't remember. Anyway, it's a standard 10 keyless layout. It has the separated arrow keys with that cluster of keys above it, which is really, really cool. I actually prefer it that way. I like having the separated arrow keys. I use the arrow keys all the time. The one downside, and this is actually the thing that I hate the absolute most about this laptop, is the fact that the, give me a sec, I'm so upset right now. All right. There's the arrow keys, and then there's that cluster of 6 keys above the arrow keys where the bottom left key is supposed to be the delete key. You know, the key that you put your cursor somewhere and it deletes that way, not the backspace key, the delete key, okay? It's supposed to be the delete key. That's where the delete key goes. That's the standard layout. For some awful reason, because there is no good reason, HP decided to replace that key with the pause key. The pause key, the most useless key on the entire keyboard. Even the print screen key gets more use. The pause key is that key. Completely useless key. And I have remapped it. I've remapped the key. I've used, in Windows, if you use PowerToys has a key mapper tool, and in Linux, I remapped the key using the command line, and I have remapped the key. The problem is when you remap keys, when you remap the key, it doesn't work very well with keyboard repeats. So sending the repeat signal where you hold the key down and it continuously deletes, which is a very common thing to use the delete key. It's been a nightmare. It's honestly been absolutely a nightmare. And the worst thing about it is where they put the delete key, because there is a delete key on here. It is above the backspace key next to the power button. And it's a small key. So you know how on laptops they take the function keys and they make them really, really tiny, really thin? Let's see if you can see this. So you see this row where my pinky is right here, this row? That's the function row. The function keys are about half, maybe 2/3 of the height of the regular keys, while still being the same width. So they are not square, they're rectangular. And the delete key, which is one of my most used keys, is next to the power button. Needless to say, I have disabled the power button. Pressing the power button does nothing. I had to turn that off because I kept putting my computer to sleep over and over again every time I wanted to delete something because I couldn't manage to hit the delete key perfectly every time. It's such a nightmare. I hate it. I absolutely hate it. It's, oh my God, I hate it so much. Now, that location for the delete key is common on laptops that have the sort of that, I think it's like 86 key or maybe a 60% layout where it's much smaller. It doesn't even have that extra cluster of keys. Everything is more built in. It is very common for the delete key to be the key in the top right corner. That is actually common. However, this is not that same layout. There is that extra cluster of keys. There's no reason to have the delete key there. I'm sorry, HP, you could have done better. I need to calm down. I really need to calm down. Anyway, that's my biggest gripe with this thing. And my second gripe, honestly, the only other gripe that I have, is that the only other gripe I have? Yeah, that's the only other gripe that I have, really. Yeah. The only other gripe that I have is how edgy this thing is. And that's kind of a weird way to say it, but this laptop is metal. I think it's magnesium, and the edges are cut very sharp. And while they don't cut you, they don't, you know, break skin or anything like that, you do feel it, and you feel how sharp it is. And it kind of like does scrape your hand a little bit, and I feel like it can build up some like maybe dead skin or grime from your hands. And it's on the lid, and the worst part is that it's also down here on the keyboard. So on the sort of the bed of the keyboard where the keyboard, you know, is installed into, the edges, the corners, just all the sides, everything is super, super sharp. It's actually sharper than it is on the lid, and it's really uncomfortable, honestly. When you're typing on it, you can sort of feel it digging into your wrists, like right around here, and it just kind of sucks. I wish HP had made these like chamfered or something, like made them more, I don't know, just grind them down or something. Like I almost want to take an angle grinder to this thing myself and just kind of push it down, but obviously I'm not going to do that. This is technically my work laptop. No, it is my work laptop. It's not technically. It is my work laptop. I don't want to do something like that. So it just kind of sucks that it's not comfortable in long typing sessions. Unless you're one of those people that types sort of like this, I guess, or maybe you have like a wrist rest that lines up perfectly with it so that you don't have to be off of the wrist rest here. But other than that, really, it's uncomfortable and it's not suitable for long typing sessions, which kind of sucks. Even for gaming, if you were just using a mouse and you were using the keyboard on here, your wrist would end up in this corner over here and it would really suck. It's not comfortable at all. Actually, while I'm on the keyboard, I just remembered the mouse, the trackpad. The trackpad is a decent size. It's not super big, but it's honestly bigger than what you would expect out of a gaming keyboard. Usually they have pretty small trackpads, so it's a good size trackpad. It's really easy to work with. The I believe it's Synaptics drivers on it. It's not a Windows Precision trackpad, which kind of sucks. But I haven't had any issues with tracking. I know some Synaptics-based trackpads have really bad issues with tracking, but this one does a pretty good job, especially with the gestures. Everything has worked correctly so far. The only issue I have is when you click it, the clicking is kind of like, it's not satisfying, and it makes it feel kind of like something's loose in it, like it's not correctly like tied down. It's not a satisfying click, and I'm honestly not really impressed with the click on this thing. But I will say that other than that, because I actually prefer to use the tap to click, not the physical click, so I actually very rarely use the physical click. But other than that, the surface itself is always super, super smooth. It's a glass surface, so it feels great, and it tracks pretty well. So other than the fact that the clicking is kind of janky, I think it does a pretty good job. That's it. That's really all I had to say about it. I would say that this is definitely worth the money. It's a very attractive package. It looks really, really good. It has a lot of I/O, full-size HDMI, full-size Ethernet, full-size SD card, USB-C with DisplayPort output, and literally right next to the USB-C with DisplayPort is a mini DisplayPort. So you could, I guess, in theory, connect 3 displays to this thing, and it then just, 3 full-size USB-As. It does a great job at having a ton of stuff together while not being super expensive. It's $1,400, $1,450 I believe is how much I paid for it, and it just looks good without being too gamery. Overall, I'm really, really happy with it, and if you were looking for something like this, I think you would be really happy with it too. Maybe, I don't know, maybe HP will come out with, I don't know, I haven't seen any announcements from HP, so maybe HP will come out with their next iteration with Ryzen 5000, and they will get rid of these horrible chamfered edges if they haven't already. But that's all I've got for you guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoyed this informational session about the HP Omen 15, and I hope you like, and I hope you subscribe. I hope you subscribe more than I hope you like. I want you to subscribe more than I want you to like. So if you're thinking about liking, just subscribe instead. Just, just go whoop, just like that. Just whoop, yeah, just like that. Make the noise when you do it too, that way I know. Because when you make the noise, I can hear you. It doesn't matter where in the world you are. Anyway, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe. I hope you guys have a great night. I hope you have a great week, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.